Captain Marcus Vale stood on the bridge of the UES Thunderbolt, watching death approach his home. Through the massive viewport, he could see the largest alien fleet in galactic history. 900 warships from the Corvani Empire stretched across space like a dark metal ocean. Each vessel was the size of a city, armed with weapons that could crack planets in half. "Sir, enemy fleet is moving into attack formation," reported Lieutenant James Park from his tactical station. His young face was pale but determined. "I count 900 hostile vessels approaching Earth." Marcus closed his eyes for a moment. He was 45 years old, a veteran of dozens of space battles, but nothing had prepared him for this. Earth's entire fleet consisted of only 25 ships. It wasn't a battle, it was an execution. "Chief Rodriguez, status on the new system?" Marcus asked. Chief Engineer Maria Rodriguez wiped sweat from her forehead. She was a brilliant woman who had spent her life building impossible things. But even she wasn't sure about this one. "Captain, the quantum phase generator is still experimental. We don't know if it will work or if it will kill us all." The alien fleet commander, General Vextar, watched the pathetic human ships from his massive flagship. His species had conquered 100 worlds. Humans were just another pest to be eliminated. "Begin the attack," he ordered in his clicking alien language. "Destroy them all." Space erupted in fire. Alien energy beams reached across the void, striking human ships with terrible force. The UES Liberty exploded instantly. The UES Freedom lost half its hull and began spinning helplessly. Human weapons barely scratched the alien shields. Marcus gripped his command chair as his ship shook under enemy fire. Around him, his crew worked desperately at their stations. They all knew they were about to die, but they refused to give up. "All ships, activate quantum phase generators on my mark," Marcus ordered over the communication system. Every human captain received the message. They all knew this was their only chance. Lieutenant Commander Derek Stone commanded the smallest ship in the fleet, the UES Spectre. His vessel was built for stealth and speed, not heavy combat. As Marcus gave the order, Derek looked at his crew of 12 brave souls. "Power up the phase generator," Derek ordered. His engineering officer, Petty Officer Lisa Chen, worked frantically. At her controls. "Phase generator online, sir. Power at maximum," she reported. "Engage," Derek said quietly. The UES Spectre began to change. At first, nothing seemed different. Then the hull started to glow with a strange blue light. The edges of the ship became blurry, like looking at something underwater. On the alien flagship, a sensor operator made a confused noise. "General, I'm getting strange readings from one of the human ships," the alien reported. "The vessel appears normal, but our sensors cannot lock onto it properly." General Vextar studied his screens with growing confusion. The small human ship looked real, but something was terribly wrong with all the sensor data. Derek watched his instruments with amazement. "Engineering, what's our status?" "Sir, all systems are normal, but our mass readings are impossible. It's like we're becoming lighter than air," Lisa reported with wonder in her voice. The alien fleet continued firing. A massive energy beam from the enemy flagship struck the UES Spectre directly. Derek and his crew braced for death. Nothing happened. The deadly beam passed right through their ship as if it wasn't there. Derek stared at his screens in shock. "Did that energy beam just pass through us?" "Yes, sir," his tactical officer confirmed. "Direct hit, but zero damage. It's like we don't exist in normal space anymore." On the alien flagship, panic began to spread like wildfire. "General, our weapons are not affecting the target," the weapons officer reported with fear in his voice. "All shots are passing through the human ship." "That's impossible," General Vextar snarled, his alien features twisting with rage. "Increase firepower. All ships concentrate fire on that vessel." Hundreds of alien weapons fired at the tiny UES Spectre. Energy beams, plasma bolts, and missile swarms converged on the small human ship. Every single shot passed harmlessly through the hull as if it was made of air. Derek realized what had happened to his ship. We're not fully in normal space anymore. We're phased between dimensions. We can see them, but we exist in the space between spaces. The UES Spectre moved forward, heading straight for the massive alien fleet. The enemy ships tried to block its path, but the human vessel passed right through them like a ghost. Derek flew his ship directly through the hull of an alien battle cruiser, emerged from the other side, and continued moving forward. Captain Marcus Vale watched from the UES Thunderbolt as the impossible happened. All ships. Did everyone see that? The Spectre just flew through an enemy vessel. Sir Lieutenant Commander Stone just proved the phase technology works, reported Lieutenant Park with excitement in his voice. If one ship can do it, maybe we all can. Chief Rodriguez's voice came over the communication system. Captain, I think I understand what happened. The quantum phase generator doesn't just hide us, it shifts us into a different layer of reality. We can see normal space, but we exist in the gaps between dimensions. Derek decided to test his new abilities. He flew the Spectre directly at another alien ship. The enemy vessel fired everything it had, but the weapons passed through harmlessly. Derek took his ship through the alien hull and fired his weapons from inside. The alien ship exploded from within, destroyed by weapons it couldn't defend against. General Vexter watched his sensor screens with growing horror. One small human ship was destroying his mighty fleet, and there was nothing he could do to stop it. His weapons couldn't touch the ghostly vessel. His shields were useless. The human ship appeared and disappeared like something from a nightmare. General, we're losing ships rapidly, his tactical officer reported with panic in his voice. The human vessel can attack us, but we cannot attack it. How many ships have we lost? 37 and counting, sir, came the terrifying reply. Marcus made his decision. If one ship could become a ghost, maybe they all could. All ships, activate quantum phase generators immediately. Follow the Spectre's lead. One by one, the remaining human ships began to glow with blue light. One by one, they became translucent and ghostly. The alien weapons stopped working entirely as the human fleet shifted into the space between dimensions. Captain Nina Torres commanded the UES Phantom, a heavy cruiser armed with the most powerful weapons in the human fleet. As her ship phased between dimensions, she felt a strange sensation, like floating in warm water. Captain, phase shift complete, reported her engineering officer, Commander Jack Murphy. We're reading as partially existing in normal space. Our weapons can still affect enemy targets, but their weapons pass right through us. Nina smiled grimly. Then let's give these aliens something to really fear. All weapons target the enemy flagship. The UES Phantom materialized inside the alien command ship's shield envelope and fired every weapon it had. The massive alien vessel shuddered under the devastating attack, its shields useless against weapons fired from within their protective barrier. Commander Lisa Zhang piloted the UES Wraith, a fast attack vessel designed for hit-and-run tactics. Her ship appeared and disappeared around the alien fleet like a hunting predator. She would materialize behind an enemy ship, fire a full spread of missiles, then vanish before the aliens could react. This is incredible, Lisa reported over the communication network. We're like ghosts with teeth. They can't touch us, but we can destroy them at will. The alien fleet began to panic. Ships that had conquered worlds for 1,000 years were being destroyed by an enemy they couldn't fight. Some alien captains tried to ram the human ships, but the ghostly vessels simply passed through their hulls. General Vextar felt despair settle over him like a heavy blanket. His species had ruled space for millennia. They had defeated every enemy they had ever faced. But humans were something different, something impossible. Sir, incoming message from the High Command. his communications officer announced with a trembling voice. The screen filled with the angry face of Supreme Commander Korthak, the leader of the Corvani Empire. General Vextar, report on the Kaju human situation immediately. Supreme Commander, the humans have developed technology that makes them immune to our weapons, Vextar reported with shame in his voice. They exist in a space between dimensions. We cannot touch them, but they can strike us at will. Half my fleet is already destroyed. That's impossible, Korthak snarled. Find a way to stop them immediately. There may not be a way, Vextar replied quietly. We have created an enemy that transcends physical reality. The humans aren't just fighting us anymore. They're becoming something beyond our understanding. Within 2 hours, the largest fleet in galactic history was in full retreat. General Vextar's mighty armada fled in terror from 25 human ships that moved like ghosts and struck like nightmares. News of the impossible battle spread across the galaxy like wildfire. On 1,000 worlds, alien civilizations watched the sensor recordings with disbelief and growing terror. The mighty Corvani Empire, conquerors of 100 star systems, had been defeated by a species that barely knew how to travel between planets. Admiral Rex Voss commanded the Terran Defense Fleet from his flagship, the UES Sovereign. He was a tall man, with silver hair and steady grey eyes that had seen too many battles. As reports poured in from across human space, he realized that everything had changed. Admiral, we're receiving panic transmissions from 12 different alien empires, reported his communications officer, Lieutenant Sarah Kim. They're all requesting immediate peace talks. Rex studied the tactical displays showing human space. 3 weeks ago, they had been a tiny civilization clinging to a few star systems. Now they were the most feared force in the galaxy. What's the status of our phase-capable ships? Rex asked. Captain Robert Hayes, his chief of staff, consulted his tablet. We now have 67 ships equipped with quantum phase generators. Production is increasing daily as more shipyards come online. Commander Elena Vasquez piloted the UES Shadow through the Outer Rim territories, where alien pirates had terrorized human colonies for years. Her ship was one of the new ghost vessels, designed specifically for long-range patrol missions. Contact bearing 27 Mark 5, her sensor operator reported, reading as Scullix radar formation, 12 ships. Elena smiled coldly. The Scullix had attacked human freighters for months, killing thousands of innocent people. Now it was, "Time for payback! Take us to phase shift," Elena ordered. "Let's show these pirates what fear looks like." The UES Shadow became translucent and dove toward the pirate formation. The alien raiders fired desperately, but their weapons passed harmlessly through the ghostly human ship. Elena materialized inside their defensive formation and opened fire. One by one, the pirate ships exploded in balls of flame. Within minutes, the entire raider fleet was destroyed. Elena's ship had taken 0 damage. "This is Shadow to all human colonies in the sector," Elena transmitted. "The pirate threat has been eliminated. You are safe." Back on Earth, Dr. Michael Chen worked frantically in his laboratory beneath the Pacific Defense Center. He was the lead scientist responsible for the quantum phase technology, and he was discovering things that terrified and amazed him. "The phase generators aren't just affecting our ships," he told his research team. "They're changing the crews as well. Look at these neural pattern readings." His assistant, Dr. Jennifer Park, studied the brain scans with wide eyes. "These patterns are unlike anything in our medical databases. The crews are developing new neural pathways, new ways of perceiving reality." Michael nodded grimly. "We're not just becoming ghosts in space. We're evolving into something that exists in multiple dimensions simultaneously." Commander David Kim commanded the UES Phantom, one of the original ghost ships. During a recent patrol mission, he had noticed strange changes in himself and his crew. "Captain, I can see things that aren't there," his navigator, Lieutenant Amy Chen, reported during their mission briefing. When we're in phase shift, I can see multiple versions of the same space, like looking through different colored glasses. David frowned. Describe what you mean. Sir, I can see paths through space that lead to places we've never been. It's like the universe has hidden roads that only we can see now. Dr. Chen's research confirmed their worst fears. The phase technology was rewriting human DNA, adapting their bodies and minds to exist in the spaces between dimensions. They were becoming something new, something the galaxy had never seen before. On the Corvani homeworld, Supreme Commander Korthak met with the High Council in emergency session. The vast chamber filled with the Empire's greatest military minds buzzed with fear and confusion. The human ghost ships have destroyed 43 more of our fleets, reported General Zartek, his voice heavy with defeat. Our total losses now exceed 2,000 vessels. Our entire military structure is collapsing. Korthak slammed his armored fist on the council table. How is this possible? We have ruled the galaxy for 1,000 years. How can one primitive species destroy us so completely? Because they're not bound by the same physical laws that govern us, replied Chief Scientist Vexara. Our weapons exist in normal space. Their ships exist in the gaps between realities. It's like trying to fight shadows with solid objects. The council chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. The Corvani Empire, built on military might and technological superiority, was helpless against an enemy that couldn't be touched. Meanwhile, on the human colony world of New Terra, 8-year-old Tommy Rodriguez discovered he could walk through walls. At first, his parents thought it was some kind of trick. Then they realized their son was developing the same abilities as the ghost ship crews. "Mom, look," Tommy said to his mother, Carmen Rodriguez. He concentrated for a moment, then stepped through the solid wall of their house. Carmen stared in amazement as her son emerged from the other side. "Tommy, how are you doing that?" "I just think about being in the space between spaces," Tommy explained with the simple logic of a child. "It's easy once you know how." Dr. Chen's worst fears were coming true. The phase technology wasn't just changing the ship crews. It was affecting all of humanity, spreading through their population like a beneficial virus. Children were adapting fastest, treating dimensional shifting like a game. Captain Jessica Martinez commanded the UES Vanguard as it led the human advance into former Corvani territory. Her ship was one of the newest ghost vessels, equipped with advanced phase technology that could shift between 7 different dimensional layers. "Approaching the Corvani capital system," reported her navigator, Lieutenant Carlos Mendez. "Enemy forces are massing around their homeworld, but they're keeping their distance." Jessica studied the tactical display. Hundreds of alien ships surrounded the planet, but they weren't moving to attack. They were terrified, waiting to see what the impossible humans would do next. "Take us through their formation," Jessica ordered. "Let's remind them why they should fear us." The UES Vanguard became translucent and dove directly toward the enemy fleet. Alien weapons fired desperately, but the energy beams passed through the human ship like light through glass. Jessica guided her vessel through the hull of the enemy flagship, firing her weapons from inside. The massive Corvani command ship exploded in a brilliant fireball, and panic spread through the defending fleet like wildfire. One by one, the alien ships began to retreat, abandoning their homeworld to the unstoppable human ghost fleet. Back on Earth, President Maria Santos addressed the United Nations in emergency session. She was a strong woman who had led humanity through its darkest hour, and now she faced the challenge of guiding them through their greatest transformation. "Fellow humans," she began, her voice carrying to every corner of human space, "we stand at a crossroads in our history. The phase technology has given us the power to defend ourselves, but it's also changing us into something new. The assembly Hall was packed with representatives from every human colony and nation. They all knew that humanity was evolving, becoming something that existed in multiple dimensions simultaneously. Dr. Chen's research shows that within a generation, all humans will possess the ability to phase shift, President Santos continued. We are becoming beings that exist in the spaces between realities. The question we must answer is, what will we do with this power? Dr. Michael Chen stood to address the assembly. His research had revealed the full scope of humanity's transformation, and the implications were staggering. The phase technology has unlocked dormant potential in human DNA, he explained. We're not just gaining new abilities, we're evolving into a species that can exist in multiple dimensions simultaneously. Our children will be able to see and travel through layers of reality that we can barely imagine. On the colony world of New Geneva, 16-year-old Maria Gonzalez attended the first school for phase-capable humans. She and her classmates were learning to control abilities that seemed like magic to previous generations. Today, we'll practice dimensional navigation, announced their teacher, Professor David Park. Remember, when you're in phase shift, you can see pathways through space that lead to distant stars. Maria concentrated and felt the familiar tingling sensation as she partially shifted between dimensions. Suddenly, she could see glowing threads of light connecting every star in the galaxy. With practice, she could follow these paths and travel incredible distances instantly. Professor, I can see all the way to the galactic core, Maria reported with excitement. There are civilizations out there we've never encountered. Professor Park nodded. That's the next phase of human exploration. We'll be able to visit distant galaxies and dimensions that other species can't even perceive. Captain Ryan Foster commanded the UES Explorer, humanity's first interdimensional research vessel. His ship was equipped with the most advanced phase technology ever created, allowing it to exist in up to 12 different dimensional layers simultaneously. Captain, we're detecting massive energy signatures in the 7th dimensional layer, reported his science officer, Dr. Lisa Wong. It appears to be some kind of ancient civilization. Ryan studied the readings with fascination. Can we make contact? Possibly, sir, but we'd need to shift completely into their dimensional space. We'd be the first humans to exist purely in an alternate layer of reality. The decision would change everything. If humans could exist in multiple dimensions permanently, they would become truly immortal, able to escape to other layers of reality if their physical forms were ever threatened. Meanwhile, the remaining Corvani forces made one final, desperate attempt to stop humanity's expansion. General Zartek assembled the last 1,000 ships of his empire for a final assault on Earth. This is our last chance, he told his commanders over the fleet communication system. If we cannot stop the humans here, our empire dies today. But as the alien fleet approached Earth's solar system, they encountered something that broke their spirits completely. The entire human fleet of 300 ghost ships materialized around them simultaneously, appearing from multiple dimensional layers at once. Admiral Rex Voss stood on the bridge of the UES Sovereign, watching the alien fleet realize their hopeless situation. General Zartek, this is Admiral Voss of the Terran Defense Fleet. You are completely surrounded by forces you cannot fight. Surrender now, and your crews will be spared. The Corvani general looked at his tactical displays and saw nothing but ghostly human ships that could destroy his fleet without taking a single casualty. After a long moment, he made the hardest decision of his military career. All Corvani ships, stand down. We surrender. The last great battle was over. Humanity had won not through superior numbers or better weapons, but by becoming something entirely new, something that transcended the physical limitations that bound other species. 5 years had passed since the first ghost ship appeared and changed everything. Admiral Rex Voss, now 62 years old with completely silver hair, stood in the command center of New Earth Station, humanity's first interdimensional base. The massive structure existed in 7 different dimensional layers simultaneously, making it impossible for any enemy to attack. "Admiral, we're receiving a distress call from the Zephyrian Republic," reported Commander Sarah Kim, now his chief communications officer. "They're under attack by something called the Void Swarm." Rex studied the incoming data with growing concern. The Zephyrians were a peaceful species that had welcomed humanity into the galactic community. They were also the first aliens to treat humans as equals rather than threats. "What do we know about this Void Swarm?" Rex asked. Captain Jennifer Park, now head of xenobiology, consulted her tablet. "According to Zephyrian reports, they're entities that exist purely in dark energy. They consume entire star systems by feeding on the space between atoms. Most concerning, they appear to be immune to conventional weapons." Rex nodded grimly. This was exactly the kind of threat that only humanity could handle. "Assemble Ghost Fleet Alpha. We have a rescue mission." Captain Marcus Vale, now 50 years old and commander of the UES Thunderbolt II, led the human response fleet toward Zephyrian space. His original ship had been destroyed in battle 3 years earlier, but he had survived by phase shifting into an alternate dimension at the moment of impact. "Approaching the Zephyrian system," reported his navigator, Lieutenant Danny Chen. "Sir, I'm reading massive spatial distortions throughout the area." Marcus studied the sensor displays with concern. The space around the Zephyrian homeworld was being torn apart by entities that fed on the fabric of reality itself. Conventional ships would be destroyed instantly by the spatial distortions. "All ships, shift to phase configuration 7, Marcus ordered. "We need to exist partially in dark energy space to fight these things." Commander Elena Vasquez piloted the UES Phantom through the twisted space around the Zephyrian homeworld. Her ship was one of the newest ghost vessels, capable of existing in 15 different dimensional layers simultaneously. "Contact her," tactical officer reported. "Massive entity bearing 04 Mark 7. It's consuming the space around the 3rd planet." Eleanor watched in horror as a creature made of living darkness devoured reality itself. The Void Swarm entities were unlike anything humanity had encountered before. They existed in the spaces between spaces, just like humans, but they were predators that fed on the universe itself. "All weapons target the entity's core structure," Elena ordered. "Fire when ready." The human ghost ships opened fire with weapons that existed in multiple dimensions simultaneously. Their attacks struck the Void Swarm creatures in layers of reality that conventional weapons couldn't reach. For the first time in galactic history, the Void Swarm encountered resistance. The dark energy entities had consumed thousands of star systems across multiple galaxies, but they had never faced beings that could exist in the same dimensional spaces they occupied. Captain David Kim commanded the UES Wraith as it engaged the largest Void Swarm entity. The creature was the size of a small moon, its body composed of dark energy that consumed everything it touched. "Sir, conventional weapons are having limited effect," his tactical officer reported. "The entity is adapting to our attack patterns." David realized they needed a new approach. "All ships, coordinate your fire. We need to hit this thing from multiple dimensional angles simultaneously." The human fleet worked together with perfect coordination, their attacks coming from 7 different layers of reality at once. The massive Void Swarm entity writhed as weapons struck it from dimensions it couldn't fully perceive. On New Earth Station, Dr. Michael Chen monitored the battle through quantum sensors that could observe multiple dimensional layers. What he saw amazed and terrified him. "The Void Swarm entities are ancient," he reported to Admiral Voss. "They've been consuming realities for millions of years, but they've never encountered a species like us before. Rex studied the sensor data with growing understanding. They're predators that exist in dark energy space, but we exist in the spaces between all realities. We can fight them on their own level. The battle raged for 6 hours across multiple dimensions. Human ghost ships appeared and disappeared throughout the Zephyrian system, their weapons striking the void swarm entities from angles that shouldn't exist. Slowly, the tide turned. The dark energy creatures began to retreat, driven back by an enemy they couldn't fully understand or defeat. For the first time in cosmic history, the void swarm had encountered beings capable of existing in their domain. Captain Nina Torres commanded the UES Shadow as it pursued the retreating entities. Her ship tracked the void swarm creatures as they fled toward the Galactic rim, seeking escape from the impossible humans. "They're running," Nina reported with satisfaction. "The void swarm is actually running from us." The victory sent shockwaves throughout the galaxy. Word spread that humanity had defeated entities that had consumed entire civilizations. The species that had once been considered primitive and violent were now the galaxy's greatest protectors. On the Zephyrian homeworld, President Kalatar addressed the Galactic Council in an emergency session. Her species owed their existence to the human intervention. "Fellow beings," she began, her melodic voice carrying across the assembled representatives of 100 species. "Today, we witnessed something unprecedented. The humans didn't just save our world. They defeated enemies that have plagued our galaxy for millions of years." The council chamber filled with murmurs of agreement and amazement. Species that had once feared humanity now looked to them as protectors and guardians. "I propose that we formally recognize the Terran Federation as the galaxy's primary defense force," President Kalatar continued. "They possess abilities that no other species can match. They can fight enemies that we cannot even perceive." The vote was unanimous. Humanity, the species that had barely known about alien life 5 years earlier, became the official guardians of galactic civilization. Admiral Rex Voss received the news aboard New Earth Station with mixed emotions. Humanity had gained incredible power, but with it came enormous responsibility. "Sir, incoming transmission from the Galactic Council," Commander Kim reported. "They're formally requesting our protection for all member species." Rex nodded slowly. Humanity had evolved beyond their wildest dreams. They existed in multiple dimensions, could travel instantly across the galaxy, and possessed abilities that seemed like magic to other species. "Send a reply to the Council," Rex ordered. "Tell them the Terran Federation accepts the responsibility. We will protect this galaxy and all who dwell within it." As the message was transmitted across the galaxy, humanity took its place as something unprecedented in cosmic history. They were no longer just another species struggling to survive. They had become the guardians of reality itself, protectors of the spaces between spaces, and the galaxy's only defense against threats that existed beyond normal perception. The ghost ships that had once appeared to defend Earth now patrolled the galaxy, ensuring that no species would face extinction alone. Humanity had found its purpose among the stars, not as conquerors, but as protectors of all life in the vast cosmos. The age of the Ghost Fleet had begun, and the galaxy would never be the same.